This video is brought to you by America First Insight. Help support the growing conservative movement by becoming a member today. And if you want to support this channel, you can also use the code REAL when becoming a member. Thank you and enjoy the video. As everyone knows, the Republican Party right now have a trifecta. They control the House, the Senate, and of course, the presidency. But despite that, they have passed basically nothing. No noteworthy legislation outside the big, beautiful bill and maybe the Laken Riley Act. Outside of that, can anyone really point to a specific piece of legislation of note that's passed? Can't really think of any. And that's been a huge criticism surrounding this Congress. They have done nothing. Now, to be fair, they do have a very small majority. Like, you have to deal with people like Thomas Massey, Don Bacon. You only have a couple votes to spare. I get that. You got the filibuster. But still, they have accomplished basically nothing. Even though they have reconciliation, which for those that don't know, is basically the loophole around the filibuster. You don't need 60 votes with reconciliation. You just need a simple majority in the Senate to pass basically anything. Well, to a certain point. There's some stuff you can't pass through it, but still, reconciliation is very powerful. Yet this majority, they haven't used it. Well, that could finally be changing. As a little while ago, the chairman of the Republican Study Committee, August Pfluger, just released his framework for the reconciliation bill, and he's calling it Making the American Dream Affordable Again. Yeah. So they finally, after months of pressure, months of backlash from the base because these idiots have done nothing, they finally released something. And if I'm being completely honest, this piece of legislation, if they go through with it, and I think they will because this is the Republican Study Committee, they have a lot of power, and this is the chairman of it. So it's not just some random guy in Congress. It's not like Thomas Massey proposing batshit crazy stuff. No, it's the actual chair of the RSC. They're very influential, they have a lot of power, and this piece of legislation, if they force it through, is actually good. It's not some half-assed piece of crap that does nothing. No, the current framework right now, if they keep the majority of it, is objectively speaking one of the best piece of legislations I have seen that can actually pass. Not some bill that it sounds great on paper but has no pathway to passing. No, if they have the RSC back in this, and it sounds like they do, this piece of legislation could be even more impactful than the big beautiful bill, because the big beautiful bill, there was a lot of good stuff in it, but at the same time there were some negatives here and there. But overall, it was a good bill and it focused heavily on immigration and no tax on tips and all that. But this one is focused on an issue that the majority of people agree is the number one issue: cost of living, affordability. Nobody can deny that. Those are the most important issues by far. It's not even close. People care about cost of living. Can they buy a house? Can they afford the American dream? And that's the name of the bill, Making the American Dream Affordable Again, which I think is a great name. It gets right to the point. And the framework addresses a lot of stuff we've been talking about for years. So it's actually good stuff. It's stuff that's impactful. It's not just a single bullet point that addresses nothing. In fact, it's the opposite. It's stuff that's actually going to impact things. It's a bunch of stuff as well. And this is a framework right here. And I should be clear about this. This is not final. With reconciliation, with the whole process, there will be stuff taken out, adjusted, possibly added. So this isn't final. But more than likely, 90% of the final bill, if it passes, will be what's proposed here. All right. So again, some stuff, they might change some stuff because that's how the process goes. But yeah, this is the framework for making the American dream affordable again. I think that's a great tagline. All right. Focus on making America affordable, making the American dream affordable. That is a great way to start it. And these are the 6 bullet points for what the framework is trying to do. Again, this is not everything. This is in a nutshell what they are trying to accomplish. Restore the American dream of home ownership. Deliver healthcare freedom and lower drug prices. reduce energy bills and prices at the pump, rebuild the American family, cut wasteful government spending, and this is the one that we've all been waiting for: codify President Trump's sweeping executive orders. Yeah, this is in a nutshell, what this bill is going to do. The 6 main bullet points. And it's all 6 things that we've been begging for a year now, especially the last one. A lot of people in the base are so mad with Congress because they've codified nothing. None of Trump's executive orders as of now, none of them have been codified. And it's become such a shit show. Even Trump's getting mad at these people. It's like, seriously, codify something. And it seems like they're going to finally codify Trump's executive orders and make them permanent. So no matter what happens, if Democrats win the presidency in 2028, they can't just day one revoke all these changes. That is huge. And that's why a lot of people have been begging these idiots to do something. Because if you don't do anything right now, what do you think's going to happen when a Democrat wins the presidency? Every executive order day one from Trump is gone. It disappears forever, and we're back to square one. Now, like I said, those were just the bullet points. That's not the entire framework. They actually go into great detail what's going to be in the bill. Like right here, this part's on a pathway to home ownership. These are what's going to be in the bill. Create the quote-unquote down payment program, a zero to low down payment option through the Federal Housing Administration for creditworthy borrowers, and eliminating one of the single greatest barriers to home ownership for working families. Expand access to mortgage portability and assumability for Americans with mortgages guaranteed by Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, allowing homeowners to keep their existing mortgage rates when purchasing a new home, and or enabling new homeowners to assume the previous owner's mortgage. These 2 things alone are huge, especially the portability thing. That is massive. Because let's just say you bought a house and instead of being at a 6% mortgage, you're down to a 4% mortgage. You are just assuming the previous owner's mortgage. So instead of being at 6%, you're at 4%. Just an example. That's a bunch of money saved right there. So you can tell that they're actually proposing stuff that's useful, not just, well, we're going to give somebody a tax credit in 20 years for them to maybe use. No, they're saying, okay, we're going to allow mortgage portability so people can buy a house at halfway reasonable rates. Direct relevant federal agencies to sell, offer, or lease a low rate, underused and or underutilized federal properties, which has been a thing for a year now. They've been pushing that for a while. I know there's some people skeptical about it because people are worried that they're going to sell national parks and stuff. That's not what they're going to do. They're just saying, okay, this land right here, we're not using it. It's underused. It's underutilized. Here you go. You can have it. Eliminate the capital gains tax on the sale of homes to first-time home buyers. Establish home savings accounts. Impose a substantial tax penalty on foreign nationals, particularly those with ties to hostile foreign governments who purchase land and real estate in the United States for investment purposes, crowding out Americans and artificially increasing the price of homes. Yes, yes, yes. Why did it take the Republican Party this long to realize this is all we wanted? These bullet points are huge. If they go through with it, you're talking about actual changes to the market because it gives people a fighting chance to buy a home at a halfway reasonable rate. And now they're going after these people from China or God knows what other country, buying up all this land, buying up all these houses, fucking up the entire real estate market for everybody involved, and it inflates the cost of everything. That is huge. Impose a 5% remittance tax on funds sent by non-citizens back to the country of origin, and expand the capture components of the existing remittance tax to include money transferred through electronic fund transfer services. More good stuff. Actually, this point's fantastic. They're going to expand the remittance tax, which right now I think is at 1%. So they're going to impose a 5% tax, which is huge. That's a huge increase, which would mean less money being outsourced to God knows what country in, say, Southeast Asia. No more of that crap. If you want to send money overseas, a 5% tax. I think it should be much higher, I think it should be like 20% or hell, 100%. What? Let's make it 100%. Sure, let's do that. But 5% that is an increase over the current rate. I think I could be wrong about that, but still, this is good stuff. There's other stuff as well. Establishing the Safe Cities Fund to be extended through the Trump administration to cities working in good faith with the administration to reduce crime rates. That's good. This is all good stuff that, in my opinion, is just common sense. So seriously, I don't get why anybody would be opposed to this. Like, okay, if a city is actually doing their job and is making their city safe, they're working with law enforcement, give them money. Say, here you go. Here's a $20 million grant or whatever, just an example, $20 million or $15 million, just something. Restructure federal housing programs by conditioning federal funding on local buy-in to streamline permitting processes and fast-track local permitting while repealing Biden-era housing regulations. And again, just other stuff like that. Repeal the federal death tax. In a nutshell, this is basically everything that we've been asking for years now. Again, I think over every single point on this front, but man, a pathway to homeownership, this is perfect. Maybe impose a higher remittance tax, but 5%, it is an increase. It will help us big time in the long run. It will raise more money, and it will go after these people sending money to God knows what country. So this is good stuff. It's just common sense. It's stuff we've been waiting for a long time. Maybe they add a bit more stuff here, but so far, if this is all we get, I'm happy with it. It's basically everything we've been pushing for a long time now. And that's just one section. We have a couple other sections to go. Right here, real health care that Americans can afford. Reform the existing Affordable Care Act subsidy structure so that money flows directly into the hands of patients through health freedom accounts, codifying President Trump's proposal, and empowering Americans to shop for the care that meet their needs. Just common sense. I don't know how anybody can be against that. That's just common sense. Require health insurance companies and providers to disclose cash prices for medical care and disclose out-of-network access to low-cost providers, enabling patients to pay cash rates for care and see the doctor they want. Again, just common sense, but this is stuff that's going to impact stuff. Not just, oh, it might in 20 years reduce stuff. No. Proposals like these, they immediately help because it makes people realize, hey, why am I paying this much for this procedure at this hospital where I could go to a different one a couple miles away and it's like half off, or just an example like that. That's what they're trying to push here. And I like that. That's just, again, common sense. Codify the Trump RX program, dramatically reducing drug prices by allowing pharmaceutical companies to bypass middlemen in order to provide direct discounts to patients. Again, common sense. Eliminate the failed prevention of public health fund, just other stuff here and there on that front. But it's just good. All this stuff here, I could go over all of this, but just glancing at it, this is all good stuff. Prohibit foreign nationals from receiving welfare benefits if they send remittances to their home country, preventing American taxpayers from subsidizing lifestyles abroad. Which I think that should be for every foreign national, but still, where has this been for years? Why did it take this long for the GOP to propose this stuff? It's just crazy to say that. Like, I know it's good stuff, but at the same time, it's like, wait, you're telling me you could have done this all this time? You just realized, oh, people want you to codify Trump's executive orders to reduce the fraud. And not just that, but actually propose actual changes. Not just, oh, a tax cut. No, actual changes to the current system. And it goes on, 26 points. That's good. Energy independence and economic security for all Americans. So again, they're going to codify a lot of Trump's executive orders on deregulation and affordability. They're going to focus on trying to make America really energy independent and reduce gas prices, blah, blah, blah. You get the point. Kind of generic stuff, but just glancing at it, it's good. There's a lot of good stuff in this proposal. And that's it. I kind of glance over some of it. I focus more on the home ownership stuff because I know that's the one that most people are going to talk about. But this other stuff is just good. This is, objectively speaking, one of the best proposals that has a serious chance to pass. You can read it all you want. You can look at the other details. I glance over some of it, but man, we've been waiting so long for them to finally push this. There's other stuff I'm just glancing at right here. Prohibit Medicaid and ACA enhanced tax credits for financing gender transition. Just common sense there. It's stuff like that that people have been begging for. And stuff like this goes a long ways into helping Republicans this year. And I think that's why they finally realized they got to propose something, because they were going to get crushed if they did nothing. And now is a perfect time to propose this. We can finally start getting actual wins in Congress, actual changes to the system on home ownership, on healthcare, energy independence. It's all stuff we've been hammering for. We've been begging for. Like, seriously, we've been pushing for this stuff for a while. They should have did this last year, but I guess it's better late than never. I don't really see any bad aspects of this at all. Again, it is a framework. It's probably going to change, but so far, just glance at the rest of this. It's good. And anybody can read this. There is a website for it, I think. You can read at it. You can read all of it right now. I think it's great. It's a great framework for what they're trying to do. And hopefully they pass the vast majority of this, because if they pass even 90% of this stuff, even 80% of this stuff, you're talking about actual changes to the system that we've been begging for. Anyways, folks, thank you so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, and of course, join the channel today. Godspeed to all of you.